Okay, we'll call our meeting of the Cookeville City Council for December 6th to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilman Walmack.
Here.
Councilman Miller.
Here.
Mayor Shelton.
Here.
Vice Mayor Wheaton.
Here.
Councilman Walker.
Here.
All present.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to invite those that wish to do so stand for the invocation given tonight by Vice Mayor Wheaton, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States flag.
Dear Heavenly Father, I just want to thank you for today. I want to thank you for the ability to come together and meet like this. I want to thank you for this time of year where we get to celebrate this birth of your Son, Jesus Christ. God, you are a good God. Thank you for your blessings. Thank you for your trials. Thank you for loving us unconditionally. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item 3, consider approval of agenda as presented. Are there any changes or corrections?
Mayor, we have no changes.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All vote.
4 yes votes. Motion carries.
Thank you. 4A, consider appointment to the Sewer Regulations Appeals Board. Ronnie Kelly.
Mayor and Council, we have 2 members on our Sewer Regulations Appeal Board, terms expiring and need to refill those vacancies. The board was established in 1988 and made up of 5 members, 3-year terms, and shall not serve more than 2 full 3-year terms without a 1-year break. The board was established to conduct hearings on appeals of decisions of the director and actions taken pursuant to the sewer use ordinance. Since being established, the board has yet to meet. Knock on some wood. Current members Paul Morgan and Dave Almond's terms expired. Dave Almond has agreed to serve another term. Paul Morgan has declined. And we have reached out to Daniel Ike, which is Dixie Imperial Plating, and they have both agreed. And so we would recommend Dave Almond and Daniel Ike to serve on those 2 terms. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved. And second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All vote.
5 yes votes. Motion
Okay,
carries.
thank you. Before I do old business, I want to recognize, because they may have to leave, the PAC 651 Weebelows from Prescott South Middle School who came by tonight. They're earning the final part of their badge to be here. So appreciate you guys being here. Come back again another time, okay? Thanks, parents. Okay, under old business, 5A, consider approval of minutes of council meeting held on November 15th, 2018. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All vote.
5 yes votes. Motion carries.
Thank you. 5B, consider on second and final reading ordinance 0181024, establishment of an HS Historic District overlay zone for certain properties located along East 8th Street. Mr. Mills.
Mayor and council members, this is the location of the area that we're considering for our 4th Historic District. There's an aerial photograph of it. As noted at first reading, this area consists of 19 parcels. And an overwhelming majority of the property owners, 15 of 19, signed a petition requesting for this establishment. The Historic Zoning Commission, the Planning Commission have both recommended for the establishment of the district. The Planning Department concurs with this recommendation, and we've had no calls or comments since first reading.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All vote.
5 yes votes. Motion carries.
Thank you. 5C, consider on second and final reading ordinance 0181025, rezoning 1501 Bunker Hill Road from RS15 Single Family Residential to RS10 Single Family Residential. Mr. Mills.
Mayor and council members, this is the location of the property being considered for rezoning. And as noted at first reading, this is simply increases the density of single family. It's from 15,000 square feet per dwelling unit to 10,000. It was recommended by the Planning Commission. The Planning Department concurs with this recommendation. We've had no comments since first reading.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All vote.
5 yes votes. Motion carries.
Thank you. 5D, consider on second and final reading ordinance 0181026, rezoning 2254, 2301, 2309 North Washington Avenue and a vacant lot from LM Light Manufacturing to CL Local Commercial. Mr. Mills.
Mayor and council members, this is the location of the 4 tracts being considered for rezoning. As you can see from this map, it would bring 2 tracts that are outliers as LM into the CL adjoining boundaries. We only have proposals for development for the upper 2 tracts, and the proposal is, if it's rezoned, would be 8 townhomes. The rezoning was recommended by the Planning Commission. Planning Department concurs with that. We've had no calls since first reading.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Anyone like to speak to the motion? All vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Thank you. 5E, consider on second and final reading on ordinance 0181027, amending Title 14, Chapter 5 of the Cookeville Municipal Code pertaining to erosion and sediment control definitions and warranty of improvement requirements. Greg Brown.
Mayor and council, this ordinance changes one definition that's required by our permit with Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation. The other change requires, if a letter of credit is required or is provided for warranty of improvements, it must be able to be cashed in at a local bank. I've had no calls or comments since the last reading.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Thank you. Under the consent agenda, 6A, set a date 1/3/19 for a public hearing on ordinance 0181232, rezoning a portion of 1545 East 10th Street from RS10 Single Family Residential to PCD Planned Commercial Development. 6B, set a date 1/3/19 for a public hearing on ordinance 0181233, rezoning 111 Chestnut Avenue from RD Single Family and Duplex Residential to CL Local Commercial. And 6C, set a date 1/3/19 for a public hearing on ordinance 0181234, abandoning and declaring as surplus property available for acquisition by the adjoining property owner, a portion of the western right-of-way of Polly Drive. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Got a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Motion and a second on the consent agenda. Any discussion? All vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Thank you. Under new business, 7A, consider on first reading of ordinance 0181235, amending the Cookeville Municipal Code, Title 13, Chapter 1, Section 13-107, relative to the tree ordinance. Greg Brown.
Mayor and council, the tree board, several city departments, and Mr. Rader have went through our existing tree ordinance to try to update it, clean up some language, and also address some situations that's arisen in the last several years. I'd like to go over some of the highlights of the changes. Some of the additions, we added some utility definitions that specifically apply to or mainly the electric department. We also added several standing board members. Now they include the codes director, the planning director, and the urban forester. The standing board members may also now appoint a designee to attend on the meetings on their behalf instead of them having to attend. We eliminated the 2-year term limit on tree board members, but we limited the position they can serve on the tree board to 2 successive terms. The right to inspect property by tree board designee, where they would be looking at a tree or shrub or plant that's suspected to be a public hazard or nuisance. We provided the provision where the tree board could designate somebody to do that. There's also an emergency clause that waives the requirements of the ordinance in case there's an emergency where we'd have to clear roads or utility right-of-ways. Some of the revisions, we made a statement, the city of Cookeville retains the right to remove, trim, or prune trees, plants, or shrubs located on municipal or private property that may be necessary to ensure public safety when they interfere with street signs, street lights, utilities, signals, sidewalks, or the street intersection visibility. We also added the tree board does not have the authority to order the removal of a tree on private property that has been recommended for removal by the authorized representative of the tree board. The city of Cookeville, though, still does retain the right to cut, trim, or prune those trees as provided in other parts of the ordinance. Be glad to answer any question, but I request your approval.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Thank you. 7B, consider resolution R181219, authorizing an employer participating in the Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System to change from its existing regular defined benefit plan to the hybrid plan and cost controls in accordance with the Tennessee Code annotated Title 8, Chapter 36, Part 9. Ms. Emmel.
Mayor and council members, this is actually the first of 3 resolutions I have for you this evening, and they all relate to changing to the TCRS hybrid plan. for new hires. So let me give you a little bit of a history. The city has been a participant in the TCRS defined benefit plan since the early 1970s. Originally, employees contributed 5% towards the plan, and in 1992, the city elected to cover 100% of the TCRS rate. The contribution rate is provided to us by TCRS and is calculated annually by their actuaries. Effective July 2015, the city adopted the bridge benefit for public safety employees. Currently, the TCRS rate is 20.59% of payroll. An additional 3.5% is paid for public safety employees for the bridge benefit. For fiscal year just ended June 30th, 2018, the contribution to TCRS by the city was $3,825,000. And this slide kind of shows you some historical summaries of the TCRS rate and the contribution that the city's made over the years. Over the 19-year period, you can see the rate has increased from 7.9% to the 20.59% that it is today, a 260% increase. And in 2000, you can see there we contributed just under $1 million, and last year we're getting close, approaching $4 million in our contribution. As a percent of total operating budget, the TCRS expense has increased from 2.93% in fiscal year 13 to this fiscal year 19 budget. It was 4.13% of the operating budget. So it's going to go up because payroll is going up, but it's going up at a faster rate in our operating budget. The total citywide payroll is approximately $19,750,000. So an additional 1% in TCRS contribution requires an additional $197,500 each year. And to put that in kind of perspective, a penny on the tax rate this year is just over $85,000. The current unfunded net pension liabilities determined by the actuary is $19,433,000. Total liabilities $137,682, with plan assets of $118,249,000. And if the city fails to make its contribution, the required contribution, TCRS has the right by law to intercept our state shared revenues to make up for it. And then in 2014, the state authorized the creation of a hybrid pension plan for TCRS. The reasons they did so were to limit the future liability of pension costs for plan sponsors, including the state, and offer a more sustainable plan over the long term. So what is the hybrid plan? It is a combination of a defined benefit and a defined contribution 401k plan. This plan had been adopted by the state, and all new state employees since July 1st, 2014 are required to be on this plan. And we here at the city are blessed to have a loyal, committed workforce. So over the next 5 years, about 25% of our workforce will meet the eligibility requirements for retirement. So we thought this would be a good time to look at changing the plan for new hires. So a little more on the hybrid plan. It has cost controls. In the defined benefit piece, the city will contribute 4%, and the employees will be required to contribute 5%. It'll have a 1% benefit formula. Under the current defined benefit plan, it's 1.575%. It'll still have a 5-year vesting term. And retirement eligibility under this plan, they will retire under the rule of 90 or age 65 invested. The rule of 90 is if you add their years of service and their age, it has to hit 90 or above. And under the current legacy plan that we have for our the defined benefit plan, it's any age with 30 years of service or age 60 invested. So for the defined contribution or 401k piece, the city will contribute 5%, and the employee will be auto-enrolled for 2% but can opt out of that. The 401k balance belongs to the employee, and if they were to leave the city for any reason, they could transfer that money to another IRS-approved 401k account. Or they can leave it in there and let it accumulate until they reach the appropriate ages and can make IRS-approved distributions. So it becomes their money. So under that plan, the city is contributing a total of 9%, and that would be the cap. It would never go above the 9%, whereas under the current legacy plan that we have, it is not capped and can go up to whatever is required. The hybrid plan also includes cost controls to ensure that the rate remains at that cap. If adopted by the city this evening and approved by TCRS, this hybrid plan will not be effective until July 1st, 2019, and would be for new hires only. Current employees and current retirees of the city would remain in the legacy TCRS plan. It would not be effective, and that's very important. Let me say that one more time. Current employees and our current retirees would not be affected. They would still be under the current defined benefit plan. The adoption of the hybrid plan will allow the city to control our long-term pension obligations and still offer an attractive retirement benefit to new employees, including the bridge benefit to our public safety officers. So the three resolutions you have before you this evening, this first one will select the hybrid plan for new hires on July 1st, 2019. And the second resolution, which I think is the next agenda item, will allow the city to make contributions to that plan. And then the third resolution covers the 401k portion and sets the contribution amounts for new hires after July 1st, 2019. All three of these resolutions are required by TCRS. We'd be happy to answer any other questions that you may have, but if the city manager or HR wants to add anything to that, that's all I have, and we would recommend your approval.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Yes, sir. Councilman Miller.
In my opinion, this is the most critical action we will take in our near future. The council will not see the impact of this decision, but by attacking the $19 million of unfunded pension liabilities we currently have, our action will provide a long-term vitality and fiscal lifeline to our city.
Any other comments? I'll vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. 7C, consider resolution R181220 allowing a political subdivision of the state of Tennessee to contribute to a tax-deferred retirement plan in accordance with TCA Title 8, Chapters 34 through 37. Ms. Emmel.
That's part of that same, that's resolution number 2, part of that, so I'd
Very
recommend.
good. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? I'll vote.
5 yes votes, motion
All
carries.
right, and 7D, consider resolution R181221 authorizing the approval of the state of Tennessee Deferred Compensation Plan 2 401k resolution and participating employer agreement. Do you recommend that too?
Yes, I
Okay,
do.
very good. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? I'll vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay. 7E, consider approval of waste reduction grant contract, Public Works Department. Greg Brown.
Mayor and council, we received word that we have received a a waste reduction grant from the Department of Environment and Conservation. Lisa Luck with Upper Cumberland Development District prepared this for us, so I'd like to thank her for that. The amount of the grant, can't really see it, is $484,273. The piece of equipment that we're planning on purchasing with this is $692,000. The difference between the two, we hope to share that cost with the county. We're going to place this piece of equipment at the mulch site on Jackson Street for the hazardous waste facility that the county is going to build. So we're going to use this to also take care of the county's brush as well as our own. That's a picture of the piece of equipment we're planning on purchasing. Presently, we contract our brush grinding out. We spend anywhere from $100,000 to $150,000 a year to get it ground, and they use pretty much the same equipment that we're purchasing here. So within a year and a half, we should have the money back for doing this. And this we should have it by next June. So I would request your approval for us to sign this grant and get the equipment ordered.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Any discussion? As you said, the key is that we're going to pay for it in less than 2 years probably and be able to benefit the whole citizen, so that's
Yes.
great. Any other comments? All vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Thank you. 7F, consider rejecting bid received for the father-daughter date night full catered meal for Leisure Services Department. Rick Woods.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members of council, we advertised and received bids for a full catered meal for our annual father-daughter date night. We got one bid. The bid came in a little bit higher than what we anticipated. We would like to reject that bid, change the menu just a little bit, and rebid that and see if we can get a little bit closer to where we'd like to be. So I would recommend rejecting that bid and allowing us to rebid that.
Thank you. Is there a motion to reject?
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? When you do this, could you include in there a chocolate fountain for every council meeting too, please? That'd be awesome. Any other comments? All vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Thank you. That concludes our agenda portion of the meeting. We have time at the end if anyone would like to speak to the council on non-agenda items. Do we have anyone that would like to address the council? We have a lot of students from, where are y'all from? What? Cookeville High School, everybody? Okay, welcome. Come again anytime. Appreciate y'all being here. Makes the room look full. Any other comments from the council? All right, we're adjourned.